So we've got an amazing show for you today. We're going to be talking about how to remove money blocks from your life. People ask this question all the time about an abundance mindset. So I'm going to tell you how to remove money blocks from your life. I'm also going to be talking about how to tell if your partner is a narcissist. It doesn't even have to be your partner, your mother, your sister, your best friend, whatever. We're going to give you the signs, okay, that this person's a narcissist. Also, I'm going to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, you drop them into the comment box, okay? I'll check it a little bit as we move. Remember, we are live. I just jumped on a few minutes early, so we're going to get started. If you're watching this as a replay, we appreciate you as well. So again, any questions or comments, drop them into the box, and we'll get to them next time if you're watching this later, okay? So let's talk about how to remove money blocks, because a lot of people have this problem. Money blocks are real. And at one point or another, almost all of us have experienced them in our lives. Now, I can tell you right now, this has happened before. You might listen to what I'm talking about today and have your aha moment. And you're going to realize this is why I'm broke or whatever, okay? This is because it can be really hard to realize that it's a money block in your life that's keeping abundance from you, unless you really take a close look at it. Most people just assume that to stop being broke, you need to change your financial habits. But there's so much more than that, okay? That's why it's important to learn exactly how these blocks work and how to remove them from your life. Now, first, I know what you're thinking because it's my job. What is a money block? Well, a money block is a series of thoughts or a mindset or even a feeling that gets in the way of you accomplishing financial success. Now, this could be getting out of debt, saving lots of money, increasing your income streams, or affording the car you want, the house you want, affording the lifestyle that you want for you and your family. These are money blocks. So here are 7 ways that you can identify them, and you can work on breaking through those money blocks to achieve true financial freedom. And it's complete freedom. That is the thing. Everyone talks about freedom. Freedom is when you can do what you want, you can go what you want, go where you want, you can afford to do what it is that you want. Okay? So here's the first thing. Any money blocks that are related to your limiting beliefs. Now, we talk about limiting beliefs all the time. Some people still don't get it. So imagine this. Have you ever found yourself thinking things like this? I have to be rich to afford that. There's no way I can save all that money. How will I ever pay off this debt? My favorite, only evil people are rich. Well, those are classic examples of limiting beliefs. Many of these are learned in childhood. And believe it or not, at any given moment, we have hundreds of these running through our mind. And it is truly keeping us from the life that we want. So, how do you combat this? Right? Well, it's all about being conscious. I say it all the time. Awareness is the first step. Awareness is key. As soon as you're aware that you're having these sort of thoughts, then you can start reversing them. Over time, you'll start to find yourself doing it automatically, almost by osmosis. So going forward, instead of thinking about what you can't do, you focus on what you can do by building an abundance mindset. So those things that I mentioned earlier, if you're doing them the correct way, they would be, I can afford that, and I'm going to figure out a way to get there. I'm going to create a savings plan and be able to save all that money that I need. I will pay off my debts. Finally, abundance is for everyone, not just a select few. And that's for those who think that only the rich or that rich people are evil, or that to get money you have to be a nasty person, that sort of thing. In addition, make it a goal to start off each and every day positively and end it the same way, because those 2 times, the morning and the evening, that is when you are the closest to accessing your subconscious. That gray area between being asleep and being awake. That is the magic. That is where you want to get in there. You can start tinkering with that old rusty programming that's inside your mind. So the very first thing in the morning, the very last thing at night, do not be thinking of negativity, things, all the horrible things that you're worried are going to happen. Instead, be grateful, be positive. Think about all the things you already have. Okay. Find out what works to get you into that headspace where you're feeling gratitude. Okay. When you're in the right headspace and you're thinking the right thoughts, guess what? You don't limit what you can achieve. You'll be motivated, you'll be inspired, and you'll be so much more inclined to achieve financial success. Now, the first leads into the second, because this is, let's say, this is part two, negative self-talk. People do this all the time. Thinking negative or limiting thoughts causes money blocks, but speaking them out loud, wow, that's going to amplify them in your life. Speaking negatively, especially about yourself, or saying limiting words, makes those words tangible. You are giving those words power because now they've been said, they're out there. All this negative self-talk, guess what? It leads to stress, and that impacts your health, anxiety, fear. Be mindful of the words that come out of your mouth all day long, because what you're saying is manifesting in your life. So if you catch yourself saying something negative, immediately, and I mean immediately, just adjust your verbiage, rephrase your statement to make it positive. Keep in mind that your words and your thoughts are related. They are connected. And you know that your thoughts and emotions are connected to each other, just the same way your words and thoughts are. The more you say something, the more you think something, the more likely it is to appear in your life. And the more you think it, the more you're going to say it. Both combined. So your thoughts and your words, those are tied really deep to your motivation, to your mindset, to your actions, and perseverance in almost any situation. And guess what that includes? Accomplishing financial success. So watch the negative self-talk. What's next? This is my favorite. Money blocks related to non-specific goals. I hear this at least twice a day from people who are talking about abundance and the abundance mindset. Okay. Not having a rhyme or reason around what you want to accomplish, you are in deep trouble. If you don't know what it is you want to accomplish with your finances, that's going to lead you into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. You're going to find excuses as to why things aren't working out, but you'll never put the blame on yourself. There are other less important things that are going to take up your time and your financial resources, and then you lose motivation and it's over. So if your financial goals and really life goals in general, if they're not specific, if they're not measurable, if you don't have an end game, if you can't see the destination, you got to set them very clear. You got to make them very specific. Okay. Don't just state, I will pay off my debts. Instead, state how much in total and by when and how you plan to do it. Then write it down somewhere so you can keep track of it, so you can read it back to yourself. Those are the affirmations that you should be saying. Get a notebook or a spreadsheet or an app on your phone. I use notes on my iPhone all the time. Once you set those big goals, first of all, you need them. So you want to set them. But how do you achieve them? You break them down into smaller goals. And that way you can track them weekly, daily, monthly, whatever. And that way you'll stay motivated by your progress, the progress that you make over time. You didn't get in this spot in a day. It was the repetition of bad habits. It's exactly what it's going to take to get you out of this, is the repetition of the good, the repetition of the powerful, the repetition of the positive. Breaking big goals down into smaller goals, it keeps you inspired. Why does it do it? Because they're easier to accomplish, of course. And every time you get to check one of those things off, you're going to be filled with that life force energy. And you're going to realize, again, why you are doing it. So it's powerful, so powerful. Next, we have the emotions and grudges you hold towards others. Wow. This one, most people don't think of this. Most people aren't thinking of this, but This is a big one. So many people harbor jealousy or even anger towards other people. They seem to be doing better than they are. They spend their energy and their time feeling this way towards friends and towards family and coworkers, and sometimes even strangers on the internet. These emotions, in turn, I guess, they'll send a ton of money blocks your way because it's going to keep you focused on negative thoughts and negative actions. Now, ask yourself and be honest, are you guilty of this? Can you set things right by redirecting your time and your energy? Instead of focusing on what other people have or don't have, you can focus on what you can do right now to start taking those necessary actions to stay motivated and really start finding your own financial success. Stay in your lane. Don't worry about anyone else. It's also super important to remind yourself to be grateful, because when you start to feel envious of other people, another bad situation, right? This will help you combat those negative feelings. Gratitude, I mentioned earlier, it's such an essential part of the journey, especially the journey to financial success. When you're grateful, you realize all the blessings you have in your life. And guess what that leads to? Contentment. It also leads to more things to be grateful for. Realizing that someone somewhere is praying for something you already have can help you put things into perspective. So, the emotions and grudges you hold towards others. Again, this is not one that most people think of. So, take a look at your life and see if that's something that rings true for you. Next, not forgiving yourself for your money mistakes. Now, this is huge. This is another big money block that so many people struggle with. To move forward with achieving your financial success, you have to forgive yourself for those money mistakes. You have to take the lessons that you've learned and you've got to keep moving. Yes, mistakes happen. Everyone has made bad decisions with money from time to time, even the wealthiest people. I mean, I've purchased a circus tent, a big top at one time. And I had, I've had just the most ridiculous cars and things. Ridiculous. It's all about acknowledging where you went wrong and figuring out what to do to make things right. Even if you wind up making the same or similar mistake again, you just rinse and repeat. You acknowledge, you learn, and you implement the lessons. Acknowledging and learning isn't enough. The implementation is what's going to make it happen. Everyone acknowledges, usually. Almost everyone is willing to learn, but very few will implement the lesson. So you got to do that till you get past the error. This is how you release those money blocks and start succeeding with your finances. Next, avoiding your finances. A lot of people do this. What about you? Do you do this? If you do, let me know down below. Raise your hand. Tell me you avoid your finances, because this is actually a type of money disorder. Common behaviors of money avoidance are not reading your bank statement, paying bills late. It's basically avoiding anything to do with your money, not even knowing what you have in the account, right? This money block stems from false beliefs about money, and it leads to self-sabotage. Removing this block by taking it head on. That's how you do it. Start by creating a financial routine to get in the habit of checking in with your money. You have to check in with your money regularly. This is a powerful step because it helps you avoid everything that has to do with your finances and stay on top of your money. You'll stop avoiding everything that has to do with your finances. You'll stay on top of your money. To really take control, start using a spending journal. Start to write things down. Like I said, use an app on your phone. Track the transactions and your emotions when you're spending money. See, are you spending money when you feel bad? Are you spending money almost as a form of therapy? Take a look at what you're feeling when you're making those big purchases, because it will make a difference. And finally, worshiping the almighty dollar. Now, you may be thinking, I thought wanting money was a positive thing. Well, it is, of course, but in moderation, because money worship doesn't mean having an abundance of money. It means that you're constantly thinking about it. You're constantly ruminating about it. You're constantly churning this over inside. It means you constantly strive for more and more and more, and you end up overspending, and you end up racking up debt, and you end up doing all of this trying to find happiness, which of course is inside, and you need to grant it to yourself. It's not in a new sports car or a boyfriend or a smaller butt. It's in you. So the trick to beating this money block is finding your passion. You know, what makes you happy outside of materialistic things? Finding the answers to this, finding out what inspires you, what brings you joy. It is important because rather than spending money on crap you don't need, you will find happiness in experiences instead. And that's what we're looking for, right? Life is here to be lived. It's here to be lived in the now, not living in the past, not living in the fear of the future, in this moment. But nobody wants this moment, right? You can beat money blocks, I promise you, and you can be successful. So now that you know how to remove them from your life, I also want you to understand that you can achieve anything that you want, anything. So this means that you have to break that cycle of constantly being broke, of constantly blaming other people for the problem. So let that sink in. You have to want it bad enough. You have to stay motivated in order to stay the course. It's like anything. It's like, you know, I used to do that all the time on a diet, right? You get dismotivated and you eat one bad thing, and then you go down the slope and you eat a pizza and everything else, and you're completely out of control. The same is true here in this situation with finances. So take some time out for your finances. If you're having financial problems, give it some of your time. Identify what is causing the money blocks in your life. See what's causing them now, right now, okay? Not what caused them 10 years ago or 2 months ago or what may cause them in the future. You need to look at your life right now, the feelings you have now, and figure out what is causing them and how to address them. Okay. Sometimes you'll fall short of your goals. Everyone does. And that's okay. You can't beat yourself up over it. The people who succeed are the ones who power through their shortcomings. They power through their failures, and they keep going anyway. They keep going no matter what. Okay. So those are some tips on removing money blocks. We have so many more of those on my YouTube channel, in our Facebook community. So just search for money blocks or abundance mindset, and you'll find just tons of free trainings and videos to help you. Okay. But those are some to get started. And this is the number one thing that we get asked is really about finances. It's always finances. Above love, above health, above everything else. It's all about money. I also wanted to talk today about narcissism. Somebody asked me a question the other day about narcissistic personality disorder. So I thought today I would talk about finding out if you are involved with a narcissist, because it's not as easy as you may think to figure it out. You know, imagine you've been dating someone new for 5 months. I don't know. Okay. Things start off great. They make you feel so special because they shower you with attention and compliments and gifts, whatever. But recently, things feel different. You've noticed how much your partner likes to talk about themselves to the point where they manipulate the conversation to be all about them. Those compliments they used to give you, they're now criticisms. It's pretty clear they think they're the smartest people in the room, the smartest person in the room. When you call them out on their behaviors, they do not take it well. Well, what happened in this situation? It was going so great. Everything looked amazing. And now it seems so different. Well, maybe, just maybe, you are involved with a narcissist. Now, in Greek mythology, Narcissus fell in love with his own reflection. He spent the rest of his life staring at himself. Now, like their namesake, narcissists, they spend a lot of effort creating a self-serving experience. Narcissists, they thrive on validation. Okay. They thrive on external validation. They often don't understand the difference between admiration and love. Instead of seeking deep attachments in a relationship, they want approval. Compliments and attention are validating. So the narcissist constantly seeks them out. But the moment these fail, the narcissist is shattered. It's like the worst thing ever, right? Okay. Narcissists typically struggle with empathy. So that means they have a very difficult, if not impossible, time putting themselves in anyone else's shoes to look at someone else's life. Now, this may lead a narcissist to barely seeming interested in what's happening in your life, or taking it to the other extreme and celebrating you in a very public way, even if that isn't something you enjoy, because they're always seeking external validation. Publicly celebrating your birthday or your accomplishments makes them look good. A person with narcissistic tendencies is self-focused. They seek external validation. I keep saying it, but it's the truth. And they seek this even at your expense. They may belittle you to make themselves feel superior. A classic sign of narcissistic behavior, hogging the conversation. Just like I said, it's an overinflated sense of self, but it is really quite fragile, and it's very easily shattered by disapproval or criticism. Now, a person doesn't need to have narcissistic personality disorder to display narcissistic traits. While having some or all of these traits doesn't necessarily mean someone is a bad person, that never means you have to continue to be with them if that relationship is unhealthy. Now, I thought your next question is probably going to be, how can I tell? How can I tell if I'm involved with a narcissist? So I'm going to give you some quick signs that you are involved with a narcissist. So a partner with narcissistic traits is way more likely to play games. They act in very manipulative ways, and they exploit you for their benefit. If a person that you're dating or married to or is in your family, if they exhibit these traits, it doesn't necessarily mean the relationship is doomed, but a relationship with a narcissist may be so different than what you were used to. For instance, dating a person with narcissistic traits may require, let's say, accommodations, okay? Shifts in expectations, and an understanding that there is significant potential for hurt. Many people with narcissism are unaware of their condition. That makes it especially important that you enter the relationship prepared for some toxic behavior. So, I have compiled a little list of signs that you are involved with a narcissist. So, if you think you are, check these out and then let me know below how many of them fit your situation. It's an unrealistic sense of entitlement. They expect others to cater to their desires, and they get angry when they're corrected, when they're put out, when they're treated as if they're common, okay? Next, they need to be the center of attention. Now, they may get unreasonably distressed if they feel ignored or if someone else gets the lion's share of the attention, okay? Next, another sign that you're involved with a narcissist, they display arrogant behavior and attitudes. They may constantly talk about success. They may constantly talk about their success, their romantic conquests, their money. They might complain about how much they get hit on, or how much taxes they pay is a great one. Okay. Next, exploits and takes advantage of others. This means they use other people for their own gain. They might be friends with someone just so they can get rides to work in a carpool or something. Okay. Next, they regularly talk about fantasies of power, success, or beauty. Conversations often revolve around material things, and they never, ever get too deep. And finally, they think others are envious of them. They may gossip about people secretly that they're secretly envious of, or make up their own reasons for why that person is successful or attractive or well-liked. For instance, she only looks good because of all that plastic surgery, okay? So envious of others, or think others are envious of them, okay? Now, what can you do about this situation? Now we're getting to this part. These are the things that you can do. First, if you're dealing with a narcissist, you do not idealize your partner. Now, what does that mean? Well, people with narcissistic personality disorder, they could be charming. They're probably charming. They're engaging, and they're very confident most times. So consequently, they draw people in with their attitude and with their energy at the beginning. But with any relationship, it's important not to idealize the other person, but rather see them as they really are, including their not so charming moments. This means you might want to look at how they treat other people. When you go out to dinner with someone, then you think that they may be a narcissist. Watch how they treat the waiter. Watch how they treat the waitress. Watch how they treat people like that they believe are beneath them. And you'll see right away, you'll see that narcissistic behavior rearing its ugly head. It's a great way. Waiters and waitresses is such a red flag. Okay. So having realistic expectations for what you'll be able to get out of your relationship is also important. This also involves not just justifying their behavior. Okay. When you feel hurt, you have to clearly communicate how it affects you. So you clearly communicate how their actions affect you. And some people are going to find this hard because people with I'm just going to say NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, they may be less likely to be aware of how their behavior affects you. So it's important that you tell them, you make your concerns heard. Staying quiet just for the sake of keeping the peace might work against you in the end. When someone lives with this disorder, any criticisms, even slight ones, can rub them the wrong way. Being prepared for a strong reaction or defensive attitude when you talk is also important. Now, protecting yourself from narcissistic abuse involves not allowing another person to demean you, to diminish you, or to trample on your authentic thoughts and feelings. Sometimes, just a simple statement like, hey, my feelings are important and I don't feel you are listening to them or taking them seriously is sufficient enough. Okay? But in order to do that, you have to do the next part, which is set clear boundaries. Some people with this disorder feel entitled to intrude on every part of your life. In their eyes, your main purpose in life is to serve their needs. They may not even fully realize you have your own needs. Setting boundaries can be incredibly beneficial for managing a healthy relationship. When dealing with any individual who's behaving in an inappropriate way, I always recommend setting clear boundaries using very simple and clear communication. And you know what? You have to be willing to walk away if the other person does not respect those boundaries. It's also important to lay out those boundaries clearly and acknowledge when they're disrespected or challenged. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't let it go. Maybe your partner constantly texts or calls you when you're out with friends, demanding your attention. They may even become really upset and accuse you of not giving them the attention they need. Well, you need to tell them, okay? You've set your boundaries. You're out with your friends. You need to explain that to them, okay? Verbalizing your boundaries is important. Even if it's just, I'm busy, I'll get back to you when I can. Or you can be more specific. You can say something like, please don't disrupt me when I'm spending time with my family. Okay. So expect pushback, but hold firm. You have to hold firm because if you don't, it's over. Okay. And finally, you do not internalize hurtful comments. Building thick skin is easier said than done. Some people are naturally more sensitive than others, and it may be difficult not to let hurtful behavior get to you. It's crucial to internalize the fact that their actions are not a reflection of you. They're manifestations of a personality disorder. Taking criticisms and insults personally will quickly degrade your confidence and your self-worth. Growing thicker skin can help you maintain a healthy sense of self and a realistic expectation of your relationship. Now, this doesn't mean overlooking unacceptable behaviors. Even if they have a mental disorder, they don't have the right to persistently, constantly mistreat you, constantly demean you. And if you've tried all of this and you're not getting any satisfaction, any relief, any change, then it's time to prepare yourself. Prepare ahead of time if you choose to leave, okay? Don't leave in the spur of the moment. You got to do this the correct way. Leaving a relationship with someone who has NPD is difficult, okay? Now, some people with NPD may have a difficult time letting you go without trying to pull you back repeatedly, even if they don't want you. It's like a kid in their toy car and they throw the toy car away and they're playing with something else and another kid picks up the car. Now they want the car again. They don't want it. They just don't want anyone else to have it. Some instances, they might want to have the last word too. You don't get to end this relationship with them, so they think. They're in control. When someone is sowing doubt in your judgment, or someone is making you feel guilty for leaving, it's important to remember the reasons why you made the decision. Now, it also may be necessary to prepare beforehand and lay out your reasons for leaving. Though it can feel like an effective means of correcting behavior, threatening to leave and then failing to leave, I promise you will backfire. You'll do it over and over and over and over again. It's like threatening the child that you're going to take away the toy. You're going to punish them. And when they know that you're not going to do it, there's no power there anymore. Okay. It's going to give them more power, and it's going to reaffirm to them that there's no need for them to change, because you're constantly giving them second, third, fourth, fifth, 256th chances. Consider saying that you're leaving only when you are prepared to do so. So prepare ahead of time. It can also be helpful to cut off communication entirely, as their attempts to draw you back constantly is going to hurt you, right? It's going to constantly impact your ability to leave the situation. They may also move on quickly from this relationship into another one and then act cruelly towards you, right? And try to make you jealous. Now, at this point in the conversation, most people will say, I don't recognize any of these traits in anyone I know. And they may be asking, what if you are the narcissist in the situation? If everything that I just talked about, if you saw any of yourself in there, maybe you are the narcissist in the situation. Bringing some awareness to it can really help that problem. Okay. Again, awareness is the biggest key to taking control of your mindset. You've got to know what's going on up there. So when you feel something like that, maybe it's me, delve into that and explore it a little bit. It can only help you. Now, before we go, I want to give you, each and every week, I'm going to do my final word. And each week they're going to be different, but it's always about the mind. And this week, I'm going to talk a little bit about the subconscious. I mentioned it earlier, the moments we can get into it, the morning and the evening. And I meditate in the morning. I meditate in the evening. Affirmations, visualizations, especially at night. Go to bed thinking about what it is that you're creating that you want. Don't go to bed thinking about all the things you don't want. Don't go to bed thinking about how bad the day was. Don't go to bed thinking about how horrible tomorrow is going to be. You want to stay in the moment, but you want to visualize your end game. You got to see what it is that you want. So the patterns in our subconscious mind, the positive ones and the not so positive ones, those took years to create. And they're not going to just fall away in a day. If you subscribe to the concept of reincarnation, for instance, then some of these patterns, guess what? They could have been formed over lifetimes. You could be working off karma from your last life. Now, these patterns can be positive or these patterns can be negative, but patterns that have been reinforced and built upon year after year after year, decade after decade after decade, become part of you. They become part of your DNA. They become part of your belief system. That is why it's so difficult for people to make big, sustainable, lasting change in their lives. It's also the reason why it appears that some people are so natural at something. You may think to yourself, wow, that guy's really disciplined. You can tell the time of day, just observing what he's doing. How does one build such discipline? Maybe not just in one life, right? In many lives, but in doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's what it takes. The same goes for one who may naturally be a successful entrepreneur or an athlete or an artist. They've been building these patterns all along their life. And hence, it may appear that it's much easier for them to do certain things than it is for you. Now, keeping this in mind, it's important for us to have compassion for ourselves. When we try to change and fail, it's like we're working with a pattern that is much more deeply ingrained in our subconscious than the others. And this red flag is a gift. It tells us where we need to do our work. There are many patterns within my subconscious I want to change, right? To make a better me. Some of these will take days. Some will take weeks. Some will take months. Some will take years. But I'm okay with it because I'm okay with the time it may take. I'm just not okay with the patterns. I acknowledge that they exist. I don't condone them. I don't blame them on anyone else. I accept them. I'm just aware it's going to take some focused effort. It's going to take some commitment to adjust to these patterns. It's going to take time. It's going to take consistent application of my mind power. It's going to take the same thing for you. We have this unbelievable supercomputer inside us, and we don't know how to use it. You need to be persistent. You need to be unwavering in your efforts to adjust to your patterns. I require no one to believe in my ability to do this. No one has to believe in it for me to do it, because I know I can. Your faith in me is not a factor in my ability to make changes in my life. And this should be the same for you. Believe you can, and you can. It sounds trite. It sounds simplistic. It sounds like something an elementary school student would say, but it's true. Your belief is the biggest factor towards your success. You don't require anyone else's faith in you to create the change you want to create. You have this willpower. You have this life force energy already dormant inside you. So you're going to need to summon it. You need to cultivate it. You need to focus it towards making the changes you want in your life. Because if you're determined and if you're committed and you're focused, those patterns you wish to change, they don't stand a chance against you. But it's going to take work. It's going to take some work. You can't just change these things overnight. And that's why we have our Facebook community. Now, if you have not joined, it is free, but it is private, because in there we go deep. We teach you how to unlock and unleash your mind power to completely reprogram your subconscious and transform your life, to bring abundance into your life. And it's not just money. I mean, of course it is money, but it can also be health. It's an abundance of love. It's an abundance of, quality relationships. It's whatever matters to you in your life. There are thousands and thousands, almost 10,000 people in that group. We don't approve 6 to every person that we do. We want people in this group that are like-minded, people that will help each other, people that will take the time, a few minutes each day, to better themselves. They'll impress and inspire their family, their children, their parents, others around them. That's how we make permanent change, not only in ourselves, but in the world. It's brentsgroup.com. You'll get your free invite to the group. Go to brentsgroup.com. There's no hyphen there. brentsgroup.com. You'll get your free invite. You can join right now. I'm in there each and every day. We post tons of memes. There's video trainings. There's all sorts of my programs, everything that you need to take you from where you are to where you want to be. You're going to find in that group. So go to brentsgroup.com and you'll be able to get your free invitation right now. You'll be able to get into the group tonight, and you'll be able to start researching what it's going to take control finally of your mind. Also, one last thing. I still have a few of these left. We're giving away 100 of them. If you don't have a copy of Mind Power Secrets, it's 5 Steps to the Perfect Mindset. This is the time. Go to brentsfreebook.com. Again, no hyphen, brentsfreebook.com. Nothing to buy there. You put in your email address, you'll be able to get a copy sent to you immediately. It's the same book that I sell. It's the same book that we have in print, but you're going to be able to have a digital copy. You're going to be able to read it and implement it tonight. You can probably read it tonight. It's only about 70 pages, but it is powerful. It's the 5 things you need to do right now. It's going to take you, like I said, from where you are to where you want to be. 5 steps to the perfect mindset. brentsfreebook.com. So it's all I got for you this time. If you're watching this later as a replay, we appreciate you. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about today, or you want to answer some of those and let me know how many of those narcissistic tendencies you saw in your partner, drop it down below. We always check these, and any questions you happen to place in there, I will answer next time. Okay. We're here each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. Okay. So that's all I got for you today. Go out and enjoy yourself. And remember, don't worry, be happy and feel good. I'll see you soon.